All right, those are the headlines we're tracking. But for the moment, breaking news now coming in, and there was a mid-air scare in a Singapore Airlines aircraft, and one passenger has been killed. 30 people injured due to the turbulence in flight. So one can imagine the extent of this turbulence. The flight was en route from Singapore to Singapore from London. It has made an emergency landing in Bangkok. So this is the information coming in right now regarding this particular flight in which one passenger has been killed. That is how extreme the turbulence was. 30 people have been injured. This flight was from Singapore to Singapore from London, and it had to make an emergency landing in Bangkok. So a massive scare for this flight, for the Singapore Airlines flight. And there you can see some of the initial pictures that have emerged, and you can see, the kind of mess on the ground there. Well, let's go across to Vishnu now for more. And Vishnu, I know initial information coming in, but what do we know so far? And so it's very shocking to learn that one person has died in this incident.
So Gargi, it's no longer initial information. It is now confirmed. Singapore Airlines have just issued a statement which I'm in receipt of. They are confirming that SQ321, the Singapore Airlines flight from London to Singapore, it had taken off yesterday, the 20th of May, encountered severe turbulence en route. The aircraft diverted to Bangkok, landed at 3:45 local time today. That there's been one fatality on board the Boeing 777-300 ER aircraft. There were 211 passengers on board the aircraft, 18 crew members on board as well. Singapore Airlines offers its deepest condolences to the family of the deceased. They're working to provide assistance to passengers on the ground. We should be getting some images as well up on our screen shortly. Medical assistance is being provided at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok. That's the main Bangkok International Airport. It's a severe tropical storm, a turbulence which has taken place, severe turbulence en route. Some accounts I've read say that this was a storm which the aircraft encountered. Irrespective, very sad news. One fatality on board that aircraft, that Singapore Airlines jet making that emergency landing at Bangkok Suvarnabhumi International Airport. So that's the news that we continue to track at this stage. We'll bring you much more as we get the news.
Right. And Vishnu, such a case, I mean, for a long time, one hasn't heard of such severe turbulence that it has caused one passenger to lose their life, 30 people being injured. This is highly unusual.
It is unusual. It's not something that's not happened in the past. There have been incidents in the past. Offhand, I don't have it right now, but
sure.
I do have, data which indicates that death during turbulence. Now, what typically happens in a situation like this is if passengers are unbelted and the aircraft enters an area of clear air turbulence, in other words, turbulence which has emerged all of a sudden despite the weather radar of the aircraft indicating that the air ahead is clear, despite this taking place, if something like this takes place, then you do have passengers who could be thrown around the cockpit, thrown around the cabin. They could strike a surface and injuries, and in this case a fatality could take place as well. It is important to note that there are upwards of 20, possibly up to 30 passengers who have been injured as well. It depends on what account you're really reading. Singapore Airlines has confirmed that several passengers have been injured but hasn't provided a number. And so we need to know what exactly the condition of those passengers is. I have seen a few pictures from Bangkok Suvarnabhumi International Airport where there are ambulances next to the aircraft, several of them. Presumably the passengers have been moved out and taken to safety at this stage.
All right. Thanks so much, Vishnu, for joining us with those details. So there, Vishnu, reading out, the statement also put out by Singapore Airlines, a very tragic incident, really, given that one passenger has died due to this turbulence encountered by the flight. And what initially we know is that 30 passengers have been injured and the flight was diverted to Bangkok. Well, moving on.